boy vanish while playing in the sand. 5 years later, the father looks behind the mirror in his friend's house. Ethan Collins always loved the ocean. It was his sanctuary, the only place where he truly felt at peace. Monterey's Del Monte Beach was his favorite spot, an open canvas of sand, waves, and sky. And on that bright July day, the sky seemed even bluer than usual, as though nothing could possibly disturb their perfect afternoon. "Dad, watch me," Lucas called out excitedly, his small feet sinking into the warm sand as he ran toward the gentle waves. His laughter, sweet and unfiltered, was Ethan's favorite sound in the entire world. He smiled broadly, his heart swelling with an intense joy only a parent could truly understand. "I'm watching, buddy," Ethan shouted back, shading his eyes from the sunlight. Lucas plunged into the shallow water, the tiny waves splashing around his ankles. Ethan watched him carefully, always protective, always cautious, yet delighting in his son's carefree joy. Lucas was 6, full of endless questions and boundless energy. Ethan cherished every moment they shared, perhaps because he knew how easily life could change. He had lost his own father at a young age, and perhaps this loss made him hold Lucas even closer. Each second spent together felt like an irreplaceable treasure. As Lucas began to dig eagerly in the sand, Ethan knelt beside him. He helped shape small towers and castles, laughing when Lucas toppled them, his eyes sparkling mischievously. "Dad, you're terrible at building sandcastles," Lucas teased. "I'm an English professor, son, not an architect." Ethan chuckled warmly. Ethan glanced around. The beach was crowded, families scattered along the shore, children playing, couples walking hand in hand. It felt safe. It felt normal, but Ethan could never have imagined how swiftly normal could disappear. His phone suddenly buzzed, pulling his attention away for just a moment. He recognized Rachel's number instantly. Rachel Thompson, his longtime friend, had been invited to join them today. Ethan hesitated, reluctant to interrupt the perfect afternoon, but answered anyway. "Hi, Rachel," he greeted casually, his gaze flicking quickly back to Lucas, who continued playing just a few feet away. "Ethan, I'm so sorry." Rachel's voice was gentle, apologetic. "I won't be able to come. Something urgent came up with my family. You understand, right?" "Of course," Ethan replied easily. "Don't worry about it. We'll see you next weekend, maybe?" "Absolutely," Rachel said softly, her voice calming as always. "Please give Lucas a hug from me, will you?" "Consider it done," Ethan said warmly, ending the call. The conversation had lasted no more than a minute. But when Ethan turned around, his heart froze. Lucas was gone. "Lucas?" Ethan called immediately, his voice steady but urgent. He spun around, scanning the shoreline. The little boy had just been there, seconds ago. Lucas. A few people nearby looked up curiously, noting the sudden panic in his voice. Ethan ran toward the spot where Lucas had been playing, his heart beginning to race. "Lucas!" His shout echoed. Louder, panic seizing his chest. His vision tunneled, searching desperately. Nothing. Ethan's breath quickened. The waves crashed gently, oblivious to his mounting terror. He ran toward the ocean, fear tightening his throat. "Lucas, answer me! Lucas!" His calls attracted attention. A woman nearby approached him, concern written across her face. "What's wrong?" she asked urgently. "My son," Ethan stammered, eyes darting wildly around. "He was here just a second ago. He's 6, brown hair, blue swimming shorts." "Have you seen him?" She shook her head, her face turning pale. "No, I'm sorry, I didn't see anything." Other beachgoers started to gather, their faces a mixture of confusion and anxiety. Time became a blur. Ethan sprinted back and forth, calling out Lucas's name desperately. Each unanswered shout felt like a knife plunging deeper into his chest. Someone called 911. Soon the beach was swarmed with police, their calm, steady demeanor contrasting sharply with Ethan's desperation. Officer Martinez, a senior detective, took Ethan aside gently. "Mr. Collins, please slow down. We'll find your son. Just breathe. Tell us exactly what happened." Ethan recounted every painful detail, the phone call, the short lapse in attention. His guilt twisted painfully inside him. "You couldn't have known," Martinez reassured him. "Stay strong. We're checking security cameras in the area." He can't have gone far. Minutes stretched into hours. Volunteers joined the search, scouring every corner of the beach. Darkness fell, and Ethan stood alone, numb, staring out at the black ocean. The rhythmic crashing of the waves, now cruel, rather than comforting. He whispered softly into the darkness, "Where are you, Lucas?" Over the next days, hope dwindled painfully. Police found nothing concrete. No clues, no evidence, just the maddening emptiness of unanswered questions. Ethan couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Each hour that passed felt like an eternity. His marriage strained under the unbearable weight of grief and blame. Detective Martinez visited him regularly, always compassionate, but with nothing new to report. "We're doing everything we can, Ethan," he repeated each time, his eyes tired, his voice soft with genuine regret. Weeks passed. Lucas's cheerful room became a shrine of memories, his toys untouched, his small bed made neatly, waiting for a child who did not return. 1 month later, Ethan was called into the Monterey police station. Martinez sat across from him, his face solemn. "We got something on one of the security cameras," Martinez began cautiously. Ethan felt his heart jolt violently. "What? What did you find?" Martinez hesitated, placing a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. "I want you to be prepared. It may be distressing." Ethan stared resolutely at the detective. "Please, I need to see it." They entered a dimly lit room. The detective pressed play, and grainy footage from the beach parking lot filled the screen. Ethan leaned closer, gripping the edge of the table, his knuckles white dot in the footage. Lucas appeared at the edge of the frame. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He watched helplessly as his small son looked briefly around, seemingly confused. Then a figure stepped into view, hooded, unrecognizable. Ethan's heartbeat thundered in his ears. The hooded figure crouched slowly, gently beckoning Lucas forward. Ethan's mouth went dry, his heart hammering painfully. Lucas hesitated, then innocently stepped toward the figure. Within moments, both disappeared beyond the edge of the frame. Martinez paused the video, silence thickening between them. Ethan stared blankly at the frozen image, his entire world collapsing in slow motion. He didn't wander off. Ethan whispered, voice trembling with barely restrained anguish. "Someone took him." Martinez nodded gravely. "We'll identify this person, Ethan. I promise you." But Ethan barely heard him. The reality of what he'd just witnessed overwhelmed him. Someone deliberately took his child. His innocent Lucas, taken right under his eyes. He felt paralyzed, grief and anger boiling into unbearable despair. His fists clenched involuntarily, his eyes burning with unshed tears. "I'll find him," Ethan muttered fiercely under his breath. "No matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs." He stared once more at the haunting image, the blurred figure, etched deeply into his memory. "I swear to you, Lucas, I'll find you." 5 years had passed since Lucas vanished from Del Monte Beach. To Ethan, Those 5 years felt like a lifetime, one painful day blending seamlessly into the next. The same exhausting cycle of grief, regret, and unanswered questions. Ethan's house, once vibrant and filled with Lucas's laughter, now stood silent. Dark curtains blocked the sunlight, creating a twilight atmosphere that matched Ethan's own internal gloom. Toys lay untouched, exactly as Lucas had left them. A small pair of blue swimming shorts still rested folded in the laundry basket. A laundry basket. A haunting reminder of his son's final day at the beach. After Lucas disappeared, Ethan's world fell apart piece by piece. He withdrew from friends, colleagues, even family. His marriage to Anna, once built on love and mutual respect, slowly disintegrated under the unbearable weight of grief and guilt. They tried to support each other, but pain often isolates rather than unites. Ethan blamed himself, replaying that day endlessly, unable to forgive his momentary distraction. Eventually, Anna moved away, seeking a fresh start. Ethan didn't blame her. He envied her ability to try again. Now, alone in his quiet home, Ethan was consumed by a single, burning obsession: finding Lucas, no matter the cost. Every room in the house became a shrine to his investigation. Walls were covered with newspaper clippings, maps, and blurry photos pinned meticulously. String-connected dots, places, and half-formed theories. His dining table had long become a research center, covered in police reports, notebooks, and unanswered letters. Every night was a battle against exhaustion. Sleep eluded him, his mind tirelessly piecing together fragments of an impossible puzzle. He replayed every conversation with the police, arguments, pleas, desperate requests for progress, yet always ended up frustrated. Detective Martinez had long become distant, sympathetic but powerless. "We've done everything we can, Ethan," he'd say gently but firmly. "We'll let you know if there's anything new." But Ethan refused to accept the finality. His obsession became his sole reason for living. Through these bleak years, Rachel Thompson remained steadfastly present in his life. Rachel, calm and compassionate, had become Ethan's closest friend, perhaps his only friend. She would visit regularly, cooking meals, tidying the chaos he left behind. She listened patiently, comforting him when the weight became unbearable. Rachel's kindness was like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Though Ethan was too consumed to fully appreciate her presence, yet something subtle lingered beneath. Rachel's gentleness, something Ethan was too absorbed to notice clearly. An underlying tension, perhaps a sadness mirrored in her eyes when she thought Ethan wasn't looking. But he dismissed those moments quickly, attributing them to his imagination. One morning, Ethan awoke to Rachel's gentle knocking. He opened the door, squinting against the sunlight. She smiled softly, eyes warm yet guarded. "Ethan," she began quietly, "I hate to bother you, but I need a favor." "Anything," Ethan replied without hesitation, grateful to repay even a fraction of her constant support. "I'm moving into a new place finally," she explained carefully. "Would you mind helping me move some furniture? It might be good for you to get out a little." He hesitated briefly, then nodded. Perhaps she was right. Rachel's new home was a quiet, elegant house on Monterey's outskirts, peaceful, yet somehow secluded. Ethan helped unload boxes and move furniture, the physical labor providing a temporary distraction from his relentless thoughts. As they worked, Rachel maintained her typical composure, calm, gentle, almost overly careful. Yet Ethan sensed a faint tension, as if she were guarding something deeper within herself. Hours passed, and eventually Rachel asked Ethan to place an old, ornate mirror in the garage. Ethan obliged, carrying it carefully. Something about the mirror caught his attention immediately. Its intricate wooden frame seemed unusually heavy. oddly out of place in the simple garage. As he set it against the wall, he heard a hollow echo behind it. Ethan's curiosity instantly ignited. Carefully, he moved the mirror again, tapping lightly on the wall behind. It was hollow. His heart began to race. Something about this didn't feel right. With cautious fingers, Ethan traced the wall until he found a slight gap. Pressing lightly, the wall clicked softly, moving slightly inward, a hidden door. Ethan froze, staring wide-eyed. His pulse pounded in his ears. What was Rachel hiding? Cautiously, he glanced around. Rachel was busy inside the house. Ethan hesitated only briefly, then gently pushed the secret door inward, revealing a narrow, hidden space behind. He held his breath. Inside was darkness. Ethan's hand fumbled for his phone, switching on the flashlight. The small beam of light illuminated a chilling scene: children's clothing neatly folded, toys arranged carefully. Something familiar caught his eye: a small sneaker, identical to the one Lucas wore the day he vanished. Ethan's heart stopped. Before he could react further, he heard footsteps approaching swiftly from inside the house. Panic surged through him. Hastily, he closed the hidden door, repositioned the mirror, and straightened up just as Rachel entered the garage. "Ethan, is everything okay?" Her voice was calm, yet Ethan felt his muscles stiffen. He forced a shaky smile. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just checking out your mirror, quite a unique piece." Rachel smiled warmly, though her eyes watched him carefully. "It belonged to my grandmother," she said softly. "Thank you for handling it so carefully." "No problem," Ethan replied casually, fighting to control the trembling in his voice. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. Ethan's mind raced, overwhelmed with thoughts and confusion. Rachel, his gentle, compassionate friend, had a hidden room in her home, a room with children's belongings. With Lucas's shoe. Could Rachel possibly have something to do with Lucas's disappearance? The thought was both horrifying and impossible to ignore. He had trusted her completely, leaned on her strength during his darkest days, yet the evidence was unmistakable. Ethan returned home that evening consumed with turmoil. He paced restlessly, retracing every interaction he'd ever had with Rachel. Memories flashed through his mind. Rachel's calm voice on the day Lucas vanished, her constant presence in his life afterward, her strange, guarded sadness whenever Lucas's name was mentioned. How could he have missed it? Anger rose sharply inside him, anger at himself for being blind. Rachel had been by his side all this time, quietly comforting him. He had shared his pain, fears, suspicions, and now it seemed possible she was the source of his nightmare. But Ethan was cautious. He knew that confronting Rachel directly, without absolute proof, was dangerous. He needed more answers. He needed certainty. From that moment, Ethan's obsession intensified tenfold. He began a quiet, methodical investigation into Rachel's life, her past, her routines, her relationships. He kept his behavior toward her normal, cordial, forcing himself to remain friendly despite the boiling rage and suspicion within. Days became weeks. Ethan followed her discreetly, learning her schedule meticulously. He observed her visits to charities, her interactions with neighbors. Everything appeared normal on the surface, but Ethan sensed there was more beneath the facade. His home turned into an even more chaotic puzzle of Rachel's movements. Photos, timelines, records of her past, every scrap of information painted an increasingly troubling picture. And yet, Ethan's heart broke further each day. Betrayal burned deeply, but uncertainty tormented him even more. How could he trust anyone again if Rachel had truly hidden such darkness? Then, one evening, Ethan finally reached his breaking point. The thought of Lucas, his innocent, sweet son, trapped somewhere close, drove him toward desperation. He knew he had to confront that hidden room again, uncover its secrets once and for all. Ethan made a risky decision. He would return secretly, late at night, and face whatever was hidden behind that wall. As he stood outside Rachel's house in darkness, Ethan steeled his resolve. Quietly, he entered the garage, his fingers trembling as he moved the mirror once again, pressing gently on the hidden panel. The secret door opened softly, revealing again the hidden, unsettling room behind it. But just as Ethan stepped inside, shining his light on the disturbing contents, footsteps echoed suddenly behind him, sharp, clear, unmistakably Rachel's. Ethan froze, heart pounding furiously. "Ethan?" Rachel's voice rang sharply from behind. "Is everything all right?" He stood motionless, trapped between fear and determination. With all his strength, he forced his voice steady, hiding his panic as he quickly stepped back, closing the secret door quietly behind him. "Yes, Rachel," Ethan responded, voice tense yet controlled. "Everything's fine." His heart thundered violently as Rachel's silhouette loomed behind him, watching him suspiciously in the darkness. Ethan stood rigid, every muscle tense as Rachel's footsteps echoed softly behind him. His breath came in shallow, silent gasps. He forced himself to remain calm, turning slowly toward her, pasting a casual smile onto his face. "Sorry, Rachel. I was just admiring your mirror again." "Can't help but notice the intricate carvings," Ethan explained, his voice betraying nothing of the dread twisting in his gut. Rachel's eyes narrowed slightly, scanning his face for any signs of deception. Ethan felt his heartbeat quicken. Finally, she relaxed slightly, her expression softening. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Rachel replied gently. "My grandmother always loved unique things." Ethan nodded, masking the turmoil inside. "Absolutely. It suits you well." The tension slowly lifted as Rachel smiled and turned away, disappearing back into the house. Ethan released a long, trembling breath, his chest aching from the strain. He knew that the secret room behind the mirror held the answers he had been seeking for 5 agonizing years. But the risk of Rachel discovering his suspicions was dangerously high. He needed absolute caution. From that night onward, Ethan became meticulous in his secrecy. He maintained an outward appearance of normality with Rachel, greeting her warmly, offering his friendship as usual. Yet inwardly, he watched her every move, every subtle change in expression, every fleeting glance she cast his way. Days passed in a state of constant vigilance. Ethan meticulously documented Rachel's habits and movements. He followed her discreetly, driving at a careful distance whenever she left home. He noted her interactions, her patterns, how she always stopped by the same small cafe, how she frequently disappeared for hours, claiming volunteer work at shelters. Every interaction was now tainted with doubt. Rachel's warmth felt forced, artificial. Her comforting words echoed hollowly in his mind. Had her entire friendship been a carefully constructed facade? Ethan struggled deeply with this betrayal. The pain and confusion tore him apart, yet determination anchored him. The image of Lucas innocent, helpless strengthened his resolve to push forward. No matter how emotionally draining the path became. After a week, Ethan felt ready. Late one night, under a heavy blanket of darkness, he returned once more to Rachel's secluded home. Parking his car down the road, he approached quietly on foot. He moved swiftly through shadows, pulse quickening with each careful step. Reaching the garage, he opened the side door cautiously. It creaked slightly, causing his heart to race. He froze, listening carefully, but the house remained silent. Rachel's car was absent. The coast was clear. Ethan slipped inside and moved swiftly toward the mirror. With careful hands, he eased it aside. The familiar hollow echo resonated softly as he pressed gently on the hidden panel. It clicked open, revealing the dark passage. Once again, taking a shaky breath, Ethan stepped inside, switching on his flashlight. The narrow beam of light illuminated the hidden space, casting haunting shadows over its contents. Ethan's heart hammered painfully as his eyes scanned the room slowly. Children's clothing lay folded neatly in small piles. Toys were arranged carefully along shelves: action figures, stuffed animals, picture books. All of them eerily pristine, as though untouched for years. Ethan's breath hitched sharply as the flashlight caught a small, familiar object on a shelf. A tiny blue sneaker. Lucas's sneaker. Ethan's hand shook violently as he reached out and took it, fingers trembling as they traced the worn fabric. Tears stung his eyes, blurring his vision. A wave of grief struck him with unbearable force, memories flooding his mind with agonizing clarity. He saw Lucas again, carefree and giggling on Del Monte Beach, building sandcastles that always collapsed into joyful ruins. The warmth of the Faye sun, the sound of Lucas's laughter, a painful echo from a life forever lost. A quiet sob broke Ethan's lips as he clutched the small shoe tightly, desperately fighting to remain calm. He placed it gently back on the shelf, forcing himself to refocus. Next to the clothes, Ethan saw photographs scattered beneath a layer of dust. Picking them up with trembling hands, he saw they had been deliberately torn, leaving only fragments of children's faces, small, smiling mouths, bright, innocent eyes. A shudder raced down his spine as he realized these were the faces of children who had vanished like Lucas. Fear tightened Ethan's chest. Rachel's darkness ran deeper than he ever imagined. His flashlight suddenly flickered, briefly plunging him into absolute darkness. Panic rose sharply. He tapped it urgently until it returned to life, illuminating the terrifying space once more. He knew he needed solid proof, something undeniable to bring to the police. Ethan quickly took photographs with his phone, capturing every detail. The room, the clothes, Lucas's shoe, each image a painful confirmation of Rachel's hidden cruelty. As Ethan turned to leave, a noise froze him mid-step, the unmistakable sound of tires on gravel outside. Rachel had returned far earlier than anticipated. Fear surged through him. He extinguished his flashlight immediately, plunging himself back into darkness. Ethan listened intently, his pulse thunderous. He heard Rachel's car door slam, footsteps crunching swiftly across the driveway toward the house. Ethan's mind raced desperately. There was no time to escape unnoticed. His only choice was to hide and pray Rachel wouldn't find him. With quick, careful movements, Ethan closed the hidden door, sealing himself inside. He pressed his body against the far wall, hidden by shadows and the terrifying stillness of the secret chamber. His breathing became shallow and silent as footsteps approached, echoing faintly through the garage. Rachel entered the garage moments later, humming quietly to herself, a chilling contrast to Ethan's silent terror. He heard her pause briefly near the mirror, felt his blood freeze in anticipation. His mind screamed warnings, scenarios of discovery playing relentlessly. He imagined Rachel's calm, cold smile upon catching him. Would she harm him too? Was Lucas even still alive? The silence dragged agonizingly until finally Rachel's footsteps faded again into the house. Ethan allowed himself the smallest sigh of relief, but he knew he was trapped. Any sound could betray him now. He forced his panic aside, focusing on breathing steadily. Hours passed slowly in darkness, each minute stretching painfully. His muscles ached from stillness, anxiety gnawed relentlessly at his mind, yet Ethan's resolve strengthened. This agony meant nothing if it brought Lucas back. He envisioned holding his son again, imagined whispering reassurances into his small ear, promising safety, promising love. That single hope gave him courage to remain motionless despite the crushing fear. Just as Ethan considered attempting an escape, footsteps sounded again, this time louder, deliberate. Rachel was approaching once more, this time her steps directly toward the mirror. Ethan's heart hammered wildly. He heard her pause inches away, heard the soft click of the hidden panel unlocking. His body went rigid with terror. The secret door slowly opened, a faint sliver of light illuminating Rachel's silhouette, standing silently at the threshold. Ethan shrank further into the shadows, every muscle screaming in panic. Is someone in there? Rachel's calm voice echoed softly, dangerously close. Ethan stopped breathing entirely. Rachel took a cautious step forward, her figure blocking any chance of escape. Hello? She called again, voice softer, yet sinister in its gentle control. Ethan's mind went blank with raw terror. He knew he was seconds from discovery. Every nerve screamed for him to run, fight, escape, but he remained motionless, paralyzed by overwhelming fear. Rachel took another slow step inside, scanning the darkness carefully. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, silently praying for a miracle. The tension hung unbearably, his fate balanced precariously on the edge of discovery. Rachel was inches away now, her breathing audible, steady, controlled. Ethan's fingers pressed painfully into his palms, desperation clawing his chest. Rachel's voice came once more, a chilling whisper of suspicion. I know someone's here. Ethan pressed himself deeper into the shadows of the hidden room, barely daring to breathe. Rachel stood just inches away, scanning the darkness with narrowed eyes. Time seemed frozen, each heartbeat resonating loudly in his ears. Whoever you are, Rachel whispered calmly, you won't find what you're looking for here. She lingered a moment longer, eyes carefully examining the silent darkness. Finally, with a frustrated sigh, she stepped back and gently closed the hidden door. Ethan heard her reposition the mirror, sealing him inside once more. He remained motionless until the faint sound of Rachel's footsteps faded away. Shaking violently, Ethan carefully reopened the hidden passage, cautiously exiting into the garage. Quietly, he slipped out into the cool night air. Disappearing swiftly into the safety of darkness, he was free, but now burdened with a terrifying certainty. Rachel had taken Lucas. Over the following days, Ethan meticulously intensified his investigation. He needed more evidence, undeniable proof. He began with Rachel's past, carefully reconstructing her life through research at the Monterey State University archives. It was there, buried beneath years of forgotten headlines, that Ethan uncovered the painful tragedy at the heart of Rachel's history. Local child drowns at Del Monte Beach. June 14, 2009. Ethan's pulse quickened as he read on. 5-year-old Samuel Thompson tragically drowned while playing unattended at Del Monte Beach. Mother Rachel. Thompson found inconsolable at scene. His breath caught sharply. Rachel's child had died at the exact same beach where Lucas disappeared. The connection was painfully clear. Ethan dug deeper, spending hours poring over faded newspapers, piecing together the fragments of Rachel's tragedy. He discovered articles describing Rachel's profound grief, her withdrawal from public life, her isolation and despair. He spoke discreetly to old neighbors who recounted her heartbreaking sorrow. Rachel changed completely, said an elderly neighbor, sadness clouding her eyes. After Samuel died, she withdrew, hardly spoke to anyone. The poor woman never truly recovered. Ethan listened carefully, absorbing every detail. The image of Rachel, grieving silently, locked away in her own private torment, disturbed him profoundly. It didn't excuse her actions, but it revealed the broken woman behind the gentle facade he'd known for years. Yet Ethan's compassion fought bitterly against rage. Rachel's pain mirrored his own, but she had chosen darkness over healing. She had turned her loss into something monstrous, and Ethan could never forgive that. Determined to strengthen his case, Ethan expanded his search further. In local police archives, he uncovered troubling similarities with other child disappearances, each unsolved, each connected subtly to Rachel. Witnesses consistently mentioned a gentle, soft-spoken woman whose presence felt comforting, familiar someone. Carrying the faint scent of lavender perfume, that perfume. Ethan's mind reeled, recalling vividly the subtle scent Rachel always wore. The same fragrance had lingered at the beach when Lucas vanished, a detail he dismissed as coincidence. Now, it connected chillingly to other unsolved cases in the area. His heart pounded painfully as he realized the truth. Rachel had been abducting children for years, driven by a twisted, obsessive desire to replace her lost son. Ethan knew he couldn't delay action. He began discreetly observing Rachel's daily routines. From a careful distance, he watched her movements, documented each stop, and noted every person she interacted with. He recorded her frequent visits to a children's charity downtown, discovering she was deeply trusted by local families, a hauntingly effective cover. Each revelation deepened Ethan's anguish. How could Rachel, gentle, supportive Rachel, have deceived everyone for so long? Ethan's home became a maze of evidence. Photos, timelines, and notes covered every surface. Sleep became impossible. Each night brought restless pacing, a relentless replay of memories. Ethan remembered vividly how Rachel had comforted him after Lucas disappeared, always near, always reassuring. The betrayal cut deeper each passing moment. Determined to find Lucas, Ethan tracked Rachel one cold evening. He watched from his car, parked discreetly in shadows, as she emerged quietly from her home and climbed into her vehicle. Ethan's heart raced as he started the engine, following cautiously behind as Rachel drove slowly down the quiet streets. She took unexpected turns, navigating carefully through Monterey's outskirts toward the dense woodlands of Cypress Forest. Rode an isolated, winding route rarely traveled at night. His grip tightened on the wheel, anxiety churning as he maintained distance. The road twisted through darkness, trees casting ghostly shadows beneath pale moonlight. Ethan's breathing grew shallow, tension coiling within him. What was Rachel doing here? Was she meeting someone? Could Lucas be nearby? Lost in questions, Ethan nearly missed the sudden glare of Rachel's brake lights. His foot slammed on the brakes, tires screeching sharply as his car swerved violently, narrowly avoiding collision. His heart lurched as he stopped abruptly, mere inches from Rachel's bumper. Time froze. Rachel's car stood motionless ahead. Ethan stared breathlessly, praying desperately she hadn't recognized him. His mind raced with panic excuses, reasons he could offer for being here, but none seemed plausible. Suddenly, Rachel's car door opened slowly. Ethan's chest tightened sharply. He watched as Rachel stepped out calmly, her silhouette stark against moonlight. She took slow, deliberate steps toward Ethan's car, eyes narrowing suspiciously as she approached. Ethan's pulse roared in his ears, panic clouding his thoughts. Rachel stopped just inches from his window. Ethan forced himself to open it slightly, heart hammering as Rachel leaned closer, her voice soft yet dangerous. "Ethan," she said slowly, suspicion sharp in her tone. "What are you doing here?" His throat tightened painfully. Ethan struggled to maintain composure, smiling weakly as he forced casualness into his voice. "Rachel, I was just out for a drive, couldn't sleep, didn't expect to see you out here." Rachel's gaze bored into him, eyes unreadable. "Strange coincidence, isn't it?" she whispered calmly, an unsettling smile playing across her lips. "You've been acting differently lately, Ethan. Is everything all right?" He forced a shaky nod, swallowing hard. "Everything's fine." Rachel's eyes lingered, coldly assessing. Finally, she stepped back, retreating slowly to her car without another word. Ethan watched her drive away into darkness, dread pooling heavily in his stomach. She suspected him, he knew it with terrifying certainty. Returning home that night, Ethan knew time was running out. Rachel's suspicions meant danger. Yet Lucas was still missing, likely close but trapped. He couldn't risk losing this chance. Back home, Ethan sat silently in Lucas's untouched room, surrounded by memories. He ran fingers gently over a small teddy bear Lucas had cherished. Tears stung painfully as he whispered softly, "Hold on." "Lucas, I'm coming for you." His resolve deepened. Ethan would confront Rachel directly. He'd demand answers, force her confession, whatever it took to find Lucas. He prepared himself mentally, replaying every scenario, every possible outcome. He felt the weight of uncertainty press heavily upon him. Rachel was dangerous, her calmness masking a dark obsession. But Ethan's fear paled beside the relentless hope of holding Lucas again, hearing his son's laugh, feeling his small arms around his neck. No risk was too great. Ethan began final preparations, carefully gathering evidence, meticulously documenting every connection. Tomorrow, he would act decisively. Lucas's fate rested entirely upon his courage now. But even as Ethan's determination grew, Rachel sat silently in her own darkened room, watching from a distance. Her gentle mask slowly faded, replaced by something chillingly calm. She knew Ethan's intentions clearly, anticipated his moves. And beneath her composed exterior burned an unrelenting resolve. She would never let Ethan take Lucas from her. Not again. No matter the cost. Ethan knew confrontation loomed dangerously near. Yet he was ready, driven by love, desperation, and fierce determination. The final confrontation awaited them both. But tonight, the quiet streets of Monterey held a heavy silence as buried secrets clawed inevitably toward the surface. Ethan sat alone, bathed in the dim glow of a single desk lamp, surrounded by photographs and notes. Sleep was impossible. He stared at the picture of Lucas, the innocent smile frozen in time, longing and agony twisting in his chest. Tonight was the night. Ethan knew with absolute certainty Lucas was alive. Rachel's hidden room, the small shoe, the fragments of evidence all pointed toward that one unshakable truth. After 5 agonizing years, Ethan felt his son's presence closer than ever, urging him forward. He stood up decisively, heart beating steadily, knowing what had to be done. Rachel's house held answers, and he would stop at nothing to reclaim Lucas. Whatever it took. In the depths of Rachel's secluded home, hidden beneath carefully maintained appearances, Lucas sat quietly on his small bed. He had grown taller and thinner, his once bright eyes shadowed by years of isolation. The room was clean, comfortable, almost cozy, but it was a prison, nonetheless. Lucas often felt confusion. Rachel had cared for him gently, yet strict rules defined his every move. Sometimes she was tender, motherly. Other times distant and strange. Lucas's true family had become faded memories, blurry faces, warm embraces, whispers of love that felt more like dreams than reality. Yet certain images endured, softly glowing fragments of memory. Sandcastles, laughter on a sunny beach, a gentle voice calling his name, his father's voice. Lucas clung desperately to these precious echoes, preserving them secretly within the fragile shell of his heart. Tonight, Lucas felt a strange restlessness. Rachel had left hours ago, promising a quick return. But the silence felt different, heavy with anticipation. Outside, Ethan moved through the darkness toward Rachel's house, every muscle alert, every nerve tightly strung. Rachel's car was gone. The night was moonless, offering perfect cover for his approach. He reached the side door he had unlocked earlier, carefully slipping inside without a sound. Once inside, Ethan moved with calculated precision. He crossed to the familiar mirror in the garage, opening the secret passage silently. His heart raced, adrenaline flooding his veins. He stepped into the darkness once more, flashlight illuminating the hidden path. Ethan moved deeper, discovering an unnoticed door at the passage's end. His pulse quickened. Quietly, he opened it, revealing a staircase descending into what seemed a hidden basement. He descended carefully, ears tuned to every sound dot at the bottom. He found a door slightly ajar. Ethan's breathing quickened sharply. With a trembling hand, he pushed it open, revealing a softly lit room filled with toys, books, and furniture resembling a child's bedroom, meticulously maintained. And there, seated quietly on the edge of a small bed, was Lucas. For a long, breathless moment, neither spoke. Father and son stared at each other, eyes wide with shock and disbelief. Ethan's heart thundered as emotions surged, overwhelming him with joy, pain, relief, and guilt. "Lucas?" Ethan whispered hoarsely, stepping forward slowly, tears blurring his vision. Lucas stared uncertainly, recognition dawning slowly in his eyes. "Dad." His small voice quivered, uncertain yet hopeful. In 2 swift steps, Ethan crossed the distance, falling to his knees before his son, gently touching Lucas's face, confirming reality. Lucas was older now, taller, fragile, but undeniably his son. Ethan embraced him fiercely, holding Lucas tightly, sobbing openly. "Dad," Lucas whispered softly, tears forming slowly, hesitant at first. Then the boy hugged Ethan back fiercely as long-forgotten memories surged powerfully through him. "You came." "I never stopped looking, Lucas," Ethan choked out. "I promise, I never stopped." Lucas clung desperately, whispering softly, "I remember you. I remember the beach." Ethan's heart broke and healed simultaneously, embracing his son tightly. He glanced around quickly, needing to act swiftly. "Lucas, we have to go." "Now," Ethan said urgently, gently grasping Lucas's hand. Lucas hesitated, anxiety shadowing his young face. "What about the others?" Lucas asked nervously, his voice barely audible. Ethan froze. "Others?" Lucas nodded carefully, pointing toward a closed door across the room. Ethan crossed swiftly, opening it slowly to reveal 2 frightened children huddled closely together on another bed, a small girl and boy, eyes wide with terror. Ethan's heart shattered again, grief and anger boiling violently within. Rachel had imprisoned multiple children, hidden here, unknown and unseen. "It's okay," Ethan whispered gently, forcing calmness into his voice. "I'm here to help you. You're safe now." He extended a gentle hand, guiding them toward Lucas. "Stay together," Ethan instructed softly, desperate urgency returning. "We're leaving right now." The children clustered closely, holding hands tightly, frightened yet trusting Ethan instinctively. Quietly, he led them back through the hidden corridor, toward freedom. But just as Ethan reached the garage again, he heard the unmistakable sound of Rachel's car approaching rapidly outside, tires crunching sharply on gravel. Panic surged through him. There was no time to escape unseen. He quickly ushered the children back toward the hidden passage, silently closing it behind them. Ethan's mind raced desperately, knowing their only hope was concealment, at least temporarily. Rachel's. Footsteps echoed in the garage moments later. Ethan held Lucas tightly, the other children pressing close, all of them paralyzed with fear. Ethan gently placed a finger to his lips, signaling absolute silence. Rachel's voice called softly, deceptively calm yet dangerous. "Lucas, are you awake?" She moved quietly, approaching the mirror, pausing suspiciously. Ethan heard her breathing, steady yet alert, inches away from their hidden refuge. His pulse thundered violently, sweat beating coldly upon his forehead. Then Rachel spoke again, voice softly sinister. "I know you're here, Ethan." Fear clenched Ethan's heart painfully. He tightened his grip protectively on Lucas, determinedly. Controlling panic. "You've made a mistake coming here," Rachel continued quietly. "You don't understand, Ethan. These children need me." Ethan's jaw tightened angrily. He forced silent restraint, protecting the terrified children. Pressed close around him, Rachel sighed softly, stepping away slightly. Ethan heard her retreat slowly into the house. He exhaled a shaky breath, knowing their brief safety was fragile. Ethan knew time was limited. He carefully reopened the passage, guiding the children back to the hidden basement room, quietly securing the door behind them. Lucas clung fearfully to his father, eyes wide. "What now, Dad?" Lucas whispered, anxiety evident in his young voice. "We'll wait for the right moment," Ethan replied gently, voice steady despite inner turmoil. "I promise, Lucas, I'll get you all out of here." As silence stretched agonizingly, Ethan's mind raced through possibilities. Rachel was aware, vigilant now. Escape was complicated, dangerous. Yet he refused to fail, driven fiercely by a father's unbreakable love. Lucas stared quietly into Ethan's eyes, voice barely audible. "Dad, Rachel told me you forgot about me, that you didn't care anymore." Ethan's heart fractured painfully. "That's a lie," he whispered fiercely, gently cupping Lucas's face. "You are my life, Lucas. Always have been, always will be. I never stopped loving you." Tears rolled silently down Lucas's cheeks, washing away years of pain and fusion. Ethan gently wiped them, holding Lucas close, silently vowing never to lose him again. Just then, Ethan heard Rachel's footsteps returning urgently through the house, quicker this time, panic evident. Something was wrong. Ethan's muscles tightened sharply, readying himself for confrontation. Then, abruptly, the unmistakable sound of Rachel's car outside again, another car rapidly approaching, doors slamming sharply. Confusion surged through. "Ethan, what was happening?" Rachel's voice echoed sharply above nervous, anxious, hurried conversation. Ant listened carefully, realizing with dawning dread Rachel had called someone else. They weren't alone. Lucas's hand tightened fearfully. Around Ethan's mind whirled with desperation. There was no choice. They had to escape now. As Ethan urgently led the children toward the stairs, preparing a final, desperate bid for freedom, headlights suddenly flooded the windows, illuminating the driveway harshly. Rachel had returned yet. Again, more voices joining hers outside. Ethan froze momentarily, realizing with horror their escape route was completely blocked. Lucas looked up, terrified. "Dad!" Ethan knelt quickly, meeting Lucas's frightened eyes firmly, voice trembling slightly but determined. "Listen carefully, Lucas. No matter what happens, you stay close to me. Understand?" Lucas nodded slowly, trust evident despite fear. Ethan stood protectively, listening intently as footsteps rapidly approached the hidden entrance once more. They were trapped, cornered in Rachel's web of deception. But Ethan refused defeat, heart surging with desperate resolve. His eyes met Lucas's, exchanging silent strength. Suddenly, the hidden door's lock clicked ominously. slowly opening. Ethan stood defiantly before the children, heart pounding violently as Rachel's silhouette appeared starkly in the doorway. Nowhere left to hide, Ethan, Rachel whispered softly, dangerously. It ends here. Rachel stood calmly in the doorway, her eyes cold, calculating. Ethan instinctively stepped in front of Lucas and the other children, shielding them from her piercing gaze. His heart thundered painfully in his chest, but he held firm, driven by fierce parental instinct. Rachel, Ethan began slowly, carefully, forcing steadiness into his voice. Please, this has gone far enough. Let us go. Let these children go. Rachel shook her head gently, stepping closer, her expression serene yet detached. You don't understand, Ethan. These children need me. They belong with me. Ethan's voice trembled slightly, yet remained determined. No, Rachel. Lucas belongs with me. He always has. Lucas clung tightly to Ethan's side, small hands gripping his father's shirt desperately. Ethan glanced down, reassuring Lucas silently. His son's frightened eyes broke Ethan's heart all over again, fueling his determination to protect him at all costs. Rachel's voice hardened, the facade cracking slightly as she spoke again. You lost him once, Ethan. I saved him. I gave him a new life. You stole him. Ethan shouted suddenly, emotion overwhelming him. You stole 5 years of my son's life. Rachel's calm exterior shattered momentarily, revealing profound pain beneath. Her voice softened dangerously. I lost my own son at that beach, Ethan. Do you know how it feels to have your heart ripped away? Ethan held her gaze, steady yet compassionate. Yes, Rachel, I do. But you can't replace your loss by taking other people's children. Rachel stepped closer, eyes blazing with anger and anguish. You don't know what it's like. Samuel was everything to me, and then he was gone, just gone. You had no right to have what was taken from me. Her words echoed sharply, revealing deep scars beneath her calm demeanor. Ethan felt genuine sympathy despite his rage. I understand grief, Rachel, Ethan said softly, honestly. But this isn't love, this is obsession. You're hurting innocent children because you're hurting. Rachel's face twisted with pain, tears welling briefly before disappearing beneath icy resolve. No, Ethan, I protected them. And now I must protect them from you. Before Ethan could react, Rachel lunged forward, desperately grasping at Lucas's arm. Lucas cried out sharply, struggling as Ethan quickly pulled him back, placing himself firmly between his son and Rachel. Don't touch him, Ethan shouted fiercely, shielding Lucas and the other children behind him. Rachel stumbled back slightly, eyes wild with desperation, panic rising sharply within her. Ethan's heart raced painfully. He knew Rachel would not surrender quietly. Suddenly, from outside, sirens wailed faintly in the distance, rapidly growing louder. Ethan's pulse quickened. Help was finally coming. Rachel froze momentarily, recognition dawning. Her expression darkened dangerously, her desperation intensifying. What did you do? She demanded, voice sharp and frightened. Ethan held steady. I called the police, Rachel. It's over. Rachel's eyes widened in panic, swiftly replaced by desperate resolve. No, no, Ethan, I won't let you ruin everything. She lunged again, wildly now, attempting to seize Lucas once more. Ethan reacted swiftly, blocking her, adrenaline surging through him as he struggled fiercely to hold her back. Lucas, run! Ethan shouted urgently, grappling tightly with Rachel as she fought fiercely against him. Lucas hesitated fearfully, then quickly grabbed the hands of the other children, leading them toward the stairs and away from immediate danger. Rachel screamed furiously, fighting Ethan with surprising strength, driven by sheer desperation. "You can't take him. I won't lose another child." Rachel's anguished scream echoed harshly, raw with suffering. Ethan tackles Rachel as she tries to recapture the fleeing children, but police burst in, led by Detective Martinez. Rachel is arrested, and officers rescue Lucas and 2 other captive kids. Reunited, Lucas clings to his father in relief while Rachel, defeated, murmurs that she only wanted her own son back. Media attention follows, and grateful families celebrate the children's return. After hospital recovery, Ethan and Lucas go home, then revisit Del Monte Beach. There, Lucas gives Ethan a small stone he'd saved since the day he was taken, proving he never forgot his father. Together, they leave the beach, ready to begin a healed life.